Hey guys, Rick Shaw here. Boy, did I have a good sleep. And Dorothy, I think she slept walking into the bed. When I went in there to say goodnight, she was already out. She was out last night. It was like 12:30, 12:20 when we got home. I went out this morning, looked at the bike. Uh, the wheel bearing looks fine. I can't, there's no grease coming out of it. I checked the torque on the wheel because that tire was just done. That was fine. It was right where it's supposed to be. The keyway's in, so it could have been the brakes. So the brakes you can see they're just right on the disc. So when we were going around the corner, it could have been the brakes squeaking a little bit. So we'll have to look into it when it gets a little warmer today. It's kind of cold for me to be out there right now. We did some freezing. The bike really, like I say, I've had a lot of bikes, and I've taken trips on a lot of bikes. And this is absolutely the most comfortable bike I ever rode on for long distance. Now, my speedometer is definitely wrong though, because it said we only went 304 miles the whole trip, and I know it's a lot farther than that from taking the same trip in cars, and we're actually where we're at now. We're actually closer than where I lived, and it wasn't showing not much closer, just a few miles, but it wasn't reading the right mileage. Also, when I was going past those, there were three of those radar things that shoot at you, and when it said I was going 60 when I was doing like 67 on the road, and one of them I went by it on my speedometer was 55, and it said 49. So my speedometer's way off. I'm going to have them check that because I don't think it's reading up the right miles on that bike. But I think that squeaking noise we were getting was from the brakes. It was awful cold. We had the front end was really stiff after it got real cold. But we both did really good. Dorothy is a real trooper when it comes to riding, and we just would have to get her a better pair of gloves. I still want to take that bike, not to the dealer where I bought it. That's way too far. It's about 59 miles, I think it was. I'll take it to a local one here and just have them give it a good go over. And but the wheel bearing, I don't see any grease coming out of it. I can't get any play in it at all, none. And now I don't have a center stand, so I can't spin the wheel see if it is the brake or where it's coming from. So until I get the center stand on, I won't be able to tell what it is. And this thing's so heavy, I'd be afraid to stand it up on something because if it falls over, I can't pick this bike up. There's just no way I can pick it up. But for a highway cruiser, if you're a big guy and you want a highway cruiser, it's got plenty of power to pass. It'll cruise at 90. It's got a sweet spot though. If you're doing 60, it's not buzzy at all. If you're doing 65, it gets buzzy and you can really feel the vibration coming up through your feet, your butt, everything. But then once you get her up to about 70, that goes away again. So 65 is not the best speed for that one. But when we came home last night, I had it on 60, so I was doing 54, 55 actually. And we saw so dang many dead deer on the road. And then we were seeing groups of them, of 15 and 20 of them off to the right side of the road just looking at us. So we were it took us 5 hours to get home. But like I say, it was a fantastic visit. We were a little bit cold. Our hands got cold. I kept putting my hand over Dorothy's hands to try to help keep them warm. My problem is in this state, no matter where we go, even when I went to the hunting shop, I can't I can't find any good gloves that fit. They go up to 2X, and that's all I can find. I can't find any 3X gloves. Now the welding gloves, they really didn't cut it. They didn't do it very good. But I never thought I was going to be doing any freezing cold trip on that. But the dang thing, it tracks really good. Pennsylvania going around the curves and hitting some of the bumps because the roads there are not as good. It just handles them well. Even with that big 21-inch tire on the front, people say, oh no, you need to change that to 17s front and back and all this to make it a better this and that and the other. I don't know, guys. My butt never hurt. The seat is great. The way your arms are, your arms don't get tired. That windshield is enough to keep all the pressure. I was getting a little bit of buffeting in my ears, so what I did when we left, I put earplugs in. I got those little roll-up squishy ones, and I stuffed them in, and that helps out a lot. I can still hear really good. It's just it keeps the wind from banging my ears really hard. But it chewed the gas though. It chewed gas. We filled up before we left. And when we got there, we were doing 80 and 90, and we were just running. What do they call that? Roadside rest area to roadside rest area. We stopped at every single one, so we could warm up a little bit because it was kind of cold. So we'd go in there for a while. That's why it took us longer. 15 minutes was all we took in the morning because the sun started coming up. One thing I noticed when we went over bridges where there was a river or something, we got hit with a gust of warm air from that. That was kind of neat. And so it was down. It was down to just about empty. And then coming home, I was doing a lot lower speed. And I had 2 bubbles left on the gas tank. So it's not that fuel efficient. They say you can go 300 miles on a tank of gas. Ain't no way in a million years that bike is going 300 miles on a tank of gas. It just ain't doing it. So, and I don't use, it says in the owner's manual to use 87 octane, but I still get that little tickle of a knock when I'm first taking off. So I moved it up to 89. That went away. So I'm just going to run 89 all the time. I had stable in it because I didn't know I was going to be riding it. And then when we decided we were going to take that trip, because it said there were going to be some decent weather, and it's probably my last chance to see my daughter this year. So we went, and we had a good trip. We had a real good trip. She bought a really nice little house. I like it. There's not a lot of park or anything, but it's a real nice little house. She got a good deal on it. And the town she lives in, I've known about that town for a long time. I was never over on her end before. I was always on the other end of town, but it looks pretty good. The neighbors seem friendly enough. So, and the girls went to the park. There's a park right across the road, and so they did that for a while. Walked around. They took their dog. She's got a pretty good sized dog, and he's pretty smart. I was really impressed with her puppy dog. Hi, handsome. So, but I'm glad we made her home all right. That last little bit, I'm glad we stopped and Dorothy got her hour nap and she crashed. And there's Bubbles. Oh, there you go. Hi, handsome. So, but I'll tell you what, I wish we could have stayed a little bit longer, but she had stuff to do. And hopefully down the road here we'll have a car where we can all go. We're still looking. I got there's an auto mall up around here that's been sending me some information, and there's some good deals. I talked to them because when I went to the Philippines, I had really good credit. Well, when you don't use it, it just keeps dropping. It drops every damn month, and it's just been fluctuating. So I told him about that, and the guy says it's not a problem. We can get anybody a buggy, or you can even lease one. And the lease price was like $179 a month for some pretty nice looking cars. With not everything has to be at these places has to be under 100,000 in order to get the loan. Lease ones can go a little bit higher than that. I was talking to that guy this morning, and so we got to do something because it's nice on the bike, but I can only take one person. That's it. I don't have a tricycle yet, so it's just a little bit too cold right now. But I'd like to go out there again. We were talking. Faye doesn't want to go down south. It's just like a no. So I was talking to my daughter, and I said, when our lease is up here, if they get this cancer all straightened out, there's a VA in Pittsburgh, and if we can find a place over there, some of these small towns, nobody wants these little houses, so they'll sit there for years for sale. And my first house I bought over there, I paid $8,000 for. It was a fixer-upper. And over a period of a few years, I fixed it up. I did. I mean, I did everything. I started off in the kitchen. I put a laundry room on it. I put a bathroom on the front. New siding, new windows. I just took my time. All new electric, all new plumbing. And it took a few years, but got her all done. And that house was it's a beautiful little house. And if we find another one like that, I would really be looking forward to putting a hammer in the boys' hands and Dorothy, so they can learn how to do this stuff, so they don't have to, when they're older, pay people to have to do things for them. I mean, you could do it yourself. Anybody can learn anything. They say it's not rocket science. Well, you can learn that too if you want to. As long as you know how to read, and these kids are doing really good on their reading. Momo's got a vocabulary that's just is unbelievable. It's just the way his teeth are, he doesn't enunciate enough, so it's hard to understand him sometimes, and teachers don't like that. But he knows what the words mean. It's amazing. If you ask him what a word means, he'll tell you. And some pretty good sized words for just a 7-year-old little guy. He likes to read his books, and he likes to watch Discovery Channel and the Animal Planet and all that kind of stuff. He'll sit there and watch that. And he remembers. He's got a really good brain when it comes to remembering stuff. So I think he's always gonna do very well, that little guy. He's just having his tantrum problems, and some kids do that. So we're just gonna try to do the best we can, and hopefully that'll go away pretty soon. We love him, but I hope that ends pretty quick, because nobody here likes it. and and then of course Maddie picks on him, which is not good, but it shouldn't bother him. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to just take it easy today. Dorothy's too. I'm still buzzing a little bit. My hands I was getting Charlie horses in my hands from the trip, and I was getting weird. I'm getting Charlie horses in my ankles. That's because I forgot to take the stuff. They said the doctor said the reason I'm getting them is, the kidney doctor said it's because I'm a little acidic. So they took my sodium bicarbonate and they doubled it. And I was taking it, and the Charlie horses went away. And then Faye, of course, she's really been great. I get these Charlie horses only at bedtime, and she was rubbing my ankles and my hands. And we were putting this, they got this Caspasium cream. Tim turned it on to me the first time, and then now I get it from the VA. Guys, that stuff really works. It's really good. But she put it on the one day. I said, you need to go wash your hands a couple times. And she went, stuck her finger right in her eye. So you got to be real careful of that with that Caspasium stuff. It's rough. It's 25%, but they send it to me from the VA, or I can pick it up down in the basement. And it really helps. It helps my hands a lot. I wish I would have had some on the trip coming home. I should have thought to throw that in the bag. But she put some on my back too the one night. It was when it was still chilly in here, and it felt like I had a heating pad on all night. I was like, oh, this is great. But Dorothy and I, we got underneath the covers, and I don't remember falling asleep. I remember covering up, and then I don't remember anything till this morning. And just felt great. I didn't get enough water yesterday, though. I should have drank a little bit more water, so I got to watch the kidneys yet. So I'm making up for it a little bit today. And it was just a fantastic trip. I'm telling you what, guys, that bike is something. If you're going to do a long trip. I was on one once before when we went from California. A guy let me borrow it. He said, hey, let me use your bike. I had the 650. And he says, you can take mine. It's better on the highway, because I was trying to find a windscreen and I couldn't find one. He said, just take mine. And it was, I don't remember what year it was. Maybe it was a 2008 or something. It was a little bit beat up. You know, he drives it. I think it had 30,000 miles on it. And he said, the doohickey was just done. You're good to go. Just take it. And we buzzed up all the way to San Francisco on it. And I was thinking, man, why don't I have one of these? This thing was really nice. Now I have one. And I don't think, for a big guy, you got all kinds of room. You can move around. It's easy to get comfortable. Your feet are right below you. You know, if you're small, under 5'8", you got to get the S model, because it's just way too high. I was cold and I had on long underwear and stuff like that. It was hard to get on. It was hard to get on and hard to get off because it's that high. But I didn't want to get the S model because the seat was real thin. And when I sat on it, I could feel the corners on my butt bones. So I told the guy, no, I'm going to have to get that one. And I'm glad I did. And I like it. I mean, just to look at it, it's a cool bike. It's big. And that 650's got, I would equate it to being about the same as the, I don't think it has the same takeoff as my Honda 750 had. But once you're on the highway, I'd say they're about equal. And I had it up to 90. You know, we had a real clear stretch, and the sun was already high enough. It wasn't right in my eyeballs, and that's what the traffic was doing. I hate to be sitting in there and people passing you at 20 miles an hour. So I just sped her up a little bit, got behind a car about 60, 70 yards, and we just buzzed right along, and that thing never missed a beat. But it did chew the fuel. I don't know what it gets per gallon. It's like almost a 6-gallon tank. And to go, the trip is like 180. From here to there, it's about 180, because I've done that in a car before. And it just chewed a whole tank. And you know, when we got there, we had to put gas in it. And when I was looking in the bottom of the tank, I couldn't even see any. And there were no bubbles on the. It's got little bubbles for the fuel gauge. There's nothing on there. So we filled it up, but it was still cheap to fill up. Gas was more expensive in Pennsylvania by 60, 70 cents per gallon than here. Here it's 3 something. There it was 4 something. You know, so not a, you know, it's a shame how they're hitting the people in Pennsylvania for fuel. They're just raping them on that. And a lot of the people out there that we know, everybody's struggling right now. I mean, it's just didn't know anybody that wasn't struggling. You know, it's just a real shame the way that the money's going. It's not worth a damn thing. We stopped up at the old grocery store I used to shop at. I got some chewing tobacco, and I just went in and was walking around looking at the prices of the meat and stuff. And you want a chuck roast? It's $35. I mean, it's ridiculous for you know, a chuck roast. Not even a real big one, but that's still a real good store. Their stuff's fresh. We got stuff from Mark's over here. We bought some fruit. Most of it's no good already. It looks good on the outside, and as soon as we cut it open, it's all black inside. So I don't think I'll be going to the Mark's store again, even though the fruit looked really good. I was going to do a vlog and say, hey, the fruit's pretty good. And then the strawberries this morning, we had to cut half of the crap away from them. The pear was rotten inside. We got a mouse in here. He ate one of our avocados. Well, at least he's eating good. But they gave us some sticky traps to put down, and we can't seem to catch the little prick. But I've been seeing him run across the floor, and we can't get him. I hope he runs into one of them traps. And the way the guy had the one trap set up, it flipped over. Now it's stuck to the rug. But hopefully we can get rid of him. I wish I knew somebody I could borrow their cat for a couple days until they catch him. But my daughter, when I was out there, she's got the coolest dog. His name's Tango. He liked me. He's just a beauty. He's brindle, but he's like a mix of, kind of looks like a mix of Rottweiler and maybe pit bull or something, or mastiff or something like that. But still, maybe 70-pound dog or so. He's really smart. And then she had some kitties, and I'm not a big one on cats. And she said the cats are they're friendly and all that. And then I'm sitting on the chair. I said, hey, look, I got to take a little nap. And he just jumped up on my lap, the one of the cats, and just stayed there for a while, purring. So he was pretty cute. But I need one here. We had a real good one when we were in Philippines, in Lipa. There was a calico cat that like a woods cat, you might call it. You could put tuna out, it wouldn't touch it, but it was killing all the mice. And then it had 3 kittens, and she taught them how to hunt. And we had those mice. You could walk through the grass and just see them running away from you. You know, my buddy Mark and I were set up the horseshoes, and you could just see them little mice jumping all around in the grass. Well, after that cat was there for a couple months, we weren't seeing them anymore because they were eating them every day. And she was eating them, and the little kittens were eating them. And then our mice got down, so she moved down the street a little bit. And now there's a lot more houses. They got a house right next to ours is going up. I saw the pictures of that. It's not finished yet, but they're working on it, so that'll help with the rain. Huh?
The swimming pool.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah, I think they put a swimming pool in, and they got a basketball court there now. But we were talking to my daughter, and like I said, my wife doesn't want to go to Alabama. I would like to go where it's warm, but maybe we'll go to PA and find one of them little towns. I don't have to go to work anymore, so we could find one of those little houses in one of these towns for a pretty decent price. She bought a really nice little house. I was like, wow, this is a really nice house. And they're a lot more than they used to be, of course, but you know, what are you going to do? That's just the nature of the beast. They may come down in the next few years. I don't know what's going to happen with this election. I'm betting it's going to be a landslide, but we'll see. You know, they took it once before. They could do it again. You know, nobody did anything. Nobody did a damn thing about it. So why wouldn't they do it again? But hopefully things get better for this country, and the good Lord smiles on us. I was watching that Democratic Party sent me a thing about the one candidate that he would be for an all-out national abortion ban. Well, thanks, Democratic Party, for letting me know who to vote for, because that's the guy I'm going to vote for. I don't believe that is right. I don't think it's a woman's right to take somebody's life. And if they say, okay, she can take that life, then give me the same thing. When she gets on my nerves, let me do her. I mean, come on. It's just ridiculous what to somebody to even think that that's not a life. I was watching one of these guys that goes to the colleges, and he talks to these kids, and listening to these kids talk about that. Oh man, I don't know what they're putting in their brain, but it's kind of scary. I mean, it's kind of scary. I don't think you should send your kids to any college anymore. What are they going to do? You know, what kind of job are they really going to get? Diversity studies and all that crap. But you know, the boys here, I'd like to get them handy with stuff, and if we can find a little house in one of them little towns over there that needs fixed up, you know, you get those real cheap, and we'll fix it up. I know how to do that. I fixed up the last one, and we'll let them put a hammer. My son Matthew, I remember I was getting him to paint. And of course, he spilled, made a mess and all that. And his mom got real mad, and I'm like, hey, come on, he's got to learn. You know, nobody's perfect when they first start. You have to learn. And that's what I want for these boys. I want them to learn how to do plumbing, anything. And plumbing's changed a lot. I watch online the new plumbing, the new little tool they got for connecting the pipes. I always used just solder. But my house, I did all new copper plumbing in the house, all new electric everywhere. And it was a balloon framed house, so you can't get in the walls. It's got these big maple timbers in there. So there's no way to get in there and drill that. And you can't hardly even drill the walls. So what I did is I laid 2x4s flat. put two 2x4s together, took a 3/4 and I drilled through, and that's where I ran the wires, and I got the flat boxes, and then we put the drywall over that, and that worked really good. It made the room a tiny bit smaller, but that was the only way to do it, and we insulated it a little bit better. We put that alumatized foam on there, and then I had a big furnace in it, but we also used those grid heaters that you hang on the wall, and as long as you got a little air coming in, and I had a carbon monoxide detector in the room where we had two of them, one down in the basement, one in the living room, and that house was toasty, and we didn't need any electricity. If the power went out for a week or so, which happened a lot over there, we didn't need the forced air furnace. We had those, and we were toasty warm. We had a lot of guests when that happened, But I love that little house. We fixed it up real nice. But can do it again as long as the good Lord allows me to be here. I'm going to do as much as I can to help these boys get a good start in their life and know how to do stuff. At least know how to run a hammer and a screwdriver. Dorothy's really good as a helper, just like Victoria was when she was little. Seems like the girls want to do more. And she, when we went yesterday, I know she was cold. I was cold. Never did she not have a big smile on her face. If you go onto Facebook, I put some of the pictures on my Facebook page, so you can go over there and look. And every one of them, even though we were cold, she's in there grinning. We stopped and got hot chocolate at Starbucks. It was terrible, and it wasn't even really hot. But there was nothing open. That was the only place that was open when we went through. So that was kind of goofy. But it was just a great trip, guys. I won't do it again. I won't do that one again in the wintertime. Forget it. I won't do it. But, as long as you bundle up for it. I used to, when I lived in southern Ohio, I had an 850. And then that motor blew driving it home, and the bike sat. It sat. And I finally went back to the dealer. Suzuki wouldn't warrant it. They said it was abuse. And the timing chain came off, and it just ate the motor. And, it had metal everywhere in there, even below the crankshaft. Well, the dealer said, you know what? It's not your fault. You're a good customer. And he didn't have an 850 motor. He had 1100 motor. And he took it off a bike, and he put 1100 on there. So I had 850 badges with 1100 on that bike. And that was a great bike. I had a refrigerator suit, and I had moon boots, and I had these big military mittens, like from Alaska. I had gloves that I would put on underneath, and then these big mittens. And I even had the trigger finger in the mitten. And then I would put a big scarves around my neck, and I had that showy full-faced helmet, and I was riding that bike to work every day in minus 20, and I wasn't cold. But I had a lot of days that bike had a little light on the dash, and when it warmed up, it would turn green. I'd drive all the way home, and it never turned green. I kept synthetic in it, though, so the oil was good. But I didn't put synthetic in the shaft drive one time, and they let me park it inside at work. And then they came to me and they said, hey, you got to put your bike outside, guys. We got like 20 trucks coming tonight. It's going to get hit. Somebody's going to bang into it with a tow motor or something. You have to put it outside. And it was just freezing cold. You went outside and instantly your nose hairs froze. And I put it outside. So in the morning when I went to go home, I would work at night because we were doing a big lighting project. And every time I went to take off, it would stall, because the oil that was in the shaft drive was froze. It was like a rock. So the guys from the printing thing, they came out with their printer heaters and put it on the bike for like a half an hour outside with some extension cords, and they heated it up so I could drive it home. And I had a garage at the house we lived at, heated. And but that was a pretty good bike. And when I got home that day, I stopped at the auto parts store, and I got some synthetic gear oil. And as soon as I got home, I didn't even eat breakfast. I just drained it while it was still hot. I put synthetic in it. I never had any more trouble after that. And this bike here, I got synthetic in it now. It didn't use a drop of oil, not one single drop. It got louder though. I think us doing that real high speed for a while, both of us noticed when we got into PA it was louder than it was. So I don't know if it blew baffle out but it's all stock exhaust. I didn't change anything on it. I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it. It's got the fuel injection. I'm just going to leave it stock. I'm happy with it. I'm real happy. It's top heavy for me, but once I gain my strength back, Maddie and I had no trouble when I first got it. And, it's just my legs are a little bit weak. I lost so much weight. I'm only about 190 pounds now, so hopefully I'll pick that back up, pick up a little bit of weight, and because I don't have any to lose if something happens again. But I go in tomorrow. They're going to check me out, do some more blood work again, because they said it looks like they got it. What was in my pelvis? He said, we did all your tests, and they took like 9 of those little vials of blood, and he said we looked it over and over, and he said we can't find any markers for that anymore. It looks like it got it. So we're going to go in and do it again. We're gonna do the exact same tests again to make sure that it's gone. They're talking about stem cell, but I want to talk to them about that, because they got to come up through your shoulder and then go in the vein off your heart, and then they wipe out your immune system. And if I can not do that, that would be good. That would be very good. But we'll see how it goes. I'm only here by the grace of God. So, and we had a good safe trip. We didn't run any deers, no debris on the highway. I do have to get a different headlight for that bike. When I put the high beam on, the low beam was right out in front, and I didn't want to raise that up, because if you raise that up, then the high beam's just shooting up in the air. So they messed up on the light on that bike. It's not good. It's definitely not bright enough. When cars were going by, even old clunkers were going by, their headlights were 10 times brighter than mine. And so I was trying to stay in behind somebody so I could see, make sure there's no debris, because these trucks, they might lose a block of wood, or somebody can lose a piece of exhaust pipe, and if you hit that on a bike, you're in trouble. So I was being very, very careful coming home and keeping my eye on the road, and we just didn't push it coming back. Hi, handsome. There's my little handsome guy.
Hi.
Oh, you got a big hug for me, huh?
Hold on.
He's getting ready for church. I was gonna go, but I'm just gonna take it a little bit easy today. My back doesn't really hurt that bad this morning. That massage chair that I sat in, it was like $5.50. But man, I'm telling you what, it was worth every penny. It was worth every stinking penny. I asked Dorothy if she wanted one, but she said no, she was okay. But $5.50 for 15 minutes of this thing, and it was just adjusting my spine. That thing was just fantastic. Oh, there's Bubbles. Oh, everybody, how you doing? That's my little Geronimo, and he's got Bubbles.
I had him for more than 7 months.
Yeah, since your birthday.
Yeah. I had him till March.
Yeah. So, but hopefully we'll be having a buggy. I'm going to go ahead and see about this auto mall place, and see maybe even if the guy can come and get me. I told him, I told him I don't have a car, and then he comes back and he says, "What's your trade-in?" And I'm like, "What part of I don't have a car don't you understand?" He said, "Well, everybody's got a car." I said, "Not me." I said, "I got back from the Philippines," and I talked to him a little bit. He says, "Oh, we could probably help you out." He goes, "It doesn't matter. We got somebody that'll help you." And I don't want to get anything real expensive, but I don't want to get a clunker. I mean, I want to look it over real good, and they're all of them, from what they're telling me, they're all certified. They've been looked over by them. He said if we get a car that just needs too much money, he said we just send it to the auction. on their trade-ins because they sell new. So they're certified pre-owned, and the prices looked pretty good on the payments. And I don't want to get into no big super duper long payment or anything like that, but we're gonna have to get one. There's just all there is to it. We can't rely on, we got a lot of nice people been helping us out, but I don't want to have to rely on anybody. If we can get one. And I saw a really nice Buick in there, $179 a month, 60,000 miles, one owner. And he said, I've got all the dealership. We took care of it right here. We've got all the dealership papers from the time it was new until now. And the lady just didn't drive it that much. And then she gave up driving. She didn't buy another car. She just brought it in and sold it to them. And so they bought it, and it's sitting there, and it looks in great shape. With all the pictures I saw on it, it was fantastic shape. A little bit more than what's on Facebook, but it comes with a warranty in case the tranny goes or something. But I said, well, what about all the fluids? There's no pumpkin in those; they're front wheel drive. But he says, yeah, the tranny fluid's been done. Everything's been done. He says, I'm not looking at the car; I'm looking at the book. But he says everything's been marked by our service guys that it's been done. So, and it's got new tires on it and new brakes. That when they got it in, they said that's all they needed to do, tires and brakes. So, and he said it still had the original tires on it. So they put some new rubber on it and the brakes. And he says they weren't completely gone, but he says they put new brakes on it. So I'd like if he'd come pick me up, go look at that. And see what we can do. I don't know how much they're going to want down, but we'll see if we can swing it. Hope so. I hope so. Somebody ought to help us out. So, but this is a long one. Sorry, guys, it's so long. I still got that thing from the Coumadin on my eyes. Look at that. Look how terrible that is. I didn't take it last night because I think my blood got too thin. So whenever it gets too thin, it does that. And I don't want anything happening to my eyes. That would really suck. But the bike, it looks like the wheel bearing's okay. I think it was a brake squeak, just maybe from the cold. I don't know. If anybody has a KLR and they've gotten the same thing in the front end, it was only when we were going around the corner. And I've had cars that do that with the disc brakes on the front, where I get the squeak and I'm like, oh, what the heck? And I check the whole front end out. Everything's fine. Grease them up and then go around the corner. And I'd hear a squeal, and when I changed the brakes, it went away. It was just a cheap bonded brakes that I had thrown on there, and I put the good OEMs on there. I put OEMs back on it. So I'm thinking that's what it is. There's plenty of brake shoe there because I don't really use the brakes a lot on the bike. I downshift, and even like if I see a light that's a stale green, I just take it easy. I don't gas it all the way up to the light, then hammer the brakes. I just go real easy. So, but I'm going to go ahead and let you go. This is a long one. You guys all take care, and thanks for all the prayers and everything. And I thank the good Lord that we had a safe and uneventful trip to and from. So we'll see you guys.